I'm Eric Estrada, and this is my peacock fly.
Got him.
Got me a nice peacock.
Just caught another one. There it is, guys. That's the big one. This is a 4-pound fish.
I'm gonna teach you guys how to catch more peacock bass on fly. You guys have been asking for this video now for a few weeks. So I'm gonna show you guys how to tie my version of the Neil Jacobs gotcha. There's a few things I like about this fly. There's a few things I would like to see different. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie a variation of it that I know would improve the action and hookup rate and all that of this very fly. So we're gonna start off with a larger hook than Neil used. Neil used a size 6, which is very small for peacock bass. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the Gamakatsu B10S Stinger in a size 2. Just finished tying up some of my tarpon minnows, so let's go ahead and get that one off the vise. I like using a larger hook because peacock bass are notorious for short striking. If you tie onto a big hook, when they short strike, you have a better chance that they're actually gonna bite hook rather than just material. So to tie this fly, I'm going to use some Chartreuse Arctic Fox. This is like a lime green / chartreuse crystal flash. I'm gonna go ahead and use that. And for the eyes, these are what we used to refer to these as pseudo eyes. They're essentially brass dumbbell eyes. They're nickel plated and have a eyeball kind of like painted on there. I don't know if they're painted on there, if it's an insert of some sort, but these work very well. Very durable eyes compared to lead eyes that occasionally, I used to use lead eyes, but every now and then if you bang a street sign behind you or a bridge piling, that lead eye will snap and fall off the fly and you're left with a perfectly tied fly that has no eyes. So I've switched over to these eyes a while back, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and I try to never use lead eyes. I'm pretty much always throwing these. Got some 210 denier in the lime green. So you want to go ahead and get started off with your base wrap. This is what allows all the materials to stick to the shank of the hook. This particular fly, you want to kind of run it up towards the front and then run it back. And go ahead and cut off the tag end, wrap over it, and kind of run it back to the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie on a little bit of gold Flashaboo, at least that's what it says on this pack. I've had this pack for many years, but just stick a few out the back. Cut off this bunch from the front. Wrap over that. You don't have to be too pretty with a gotcha because the gotchas are essentially notorious for having a bigger hump on the front. The thread is a little bit bigger than a typical clouser. So I'm gonna run this back now. I'm gonna go ahead with a few strands of this lime green crystal flash. And then I'm gonna pretty much run it forward like if I was palmering a feather. This is just gonna give it a little bit more shine and some depth. And that just added like a crystallized effect to this little bit of thread there. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the eyes now. And when it comes to tying this type of fly, you actually want to tie the eyes on somewhere in the center between the hook point and the hook eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure 8 these on. do 7 wraps in one direction, 7 wraps in the opposite direction. Once I got that on there, then I'm gonna cross wrap back and forth. Then I kind of like to go under and over, and that really like tightens it up. Bring this towards the front of the hook eye. So you can see right there. So there's really not a lot to this fly. It's a very simple fly, but peacocks love it. So you're gonna flip it upside down in your rotary vise. Kind of get some Arctic fur. You can pretty much use anything. You can use deer hair, you can use Arctic fox, you can use fin raccoon, or I used to use EP fibers a lot. The problem is it starts to get knotted up once you catch a few peacocks. Peacocks are pretty aggressive, so it starts to get all knotted up and whatnot. So you're gonna want to get a good amount of material, not too much. This fly is meant to dart a lot. So to get this material cinched down, you want to do 3 to 4 loose wraps and then pull it tight, and it allows you to keep the fibers right where you want it, and then get a few wraps on there tight, because if you try to just go tight immediately, you'll start to wrap the material around the hook shank, and that's not what you want. So once I got my 3 loose wraps on there, I got to pretty much start cleaning it up. And I like to come back and trim off some of this excess. You kind of want to cut it tapered. And again, you don't have to worry about, is it too bulky up front? A gotcha is supposed to be bulky up front. For whatever reason, that's just the way they've always been tied. I've caught a bunch of bonefish, essentially on this exact very fly throughout the years. Works really well on peacock bass. Great for oceanside bonefish in crystal clear shallow water. This is one thing I've never done. Neil had a few silly legs on here, and I'm a big fan of silly legs. It adds a lot of action to a fly, especially when it's just sitting there. I feel like this fly will work very, very well for black drum too because of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie on 2 of these. This is where I'm gonna get a little bit of that orangish color in there. These silly legs I'm using are orange, pumpkin, and yellow. These are some of my favorite silly legs. It really mimics a crustacean. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie some of these on here. It's really gonna add a lot of action to this fly. So again, the way I tie on silly legs is I run it parallel to the hook shank and cinch down around the middle of the silly legs. Get a few wraps to the back. Then I could fold the ones that were going forward back over the other 2, and then work the thread back forward. This is really gonna help me create that hump in front of the eyes that the gotcha fly is very well known for. So it creates that bulk without having to have just a big wad of thread on there. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up right now with a couple whip finishes using my whip finish tool. If some of you guys don't know how to use this tool, it's very easy. You pretty much just hook on, wrap around. You have a number 4. Once you see a number 4 here, you pull your left hand to bring that gap around the hook shank, pull it tight, and it's pretty much done. So now I'm gonna go ahead and trim the city legs. I'm gonna trim the city legs to just about the length of their overall fly. For peacock bass and even these bonefish, I like to use a very small fly. So I'm gonna trim it short just to where it starts to fade back to the orange. Give me that nice little bit of coloration right there. I would really like to have used orange Dumbo eyes for this, but I don't have any. I personally prefer these Dumbo eyes because the brass eyes don't break. I've had a lot of lead eyes over the years just break. I'm fishing where there's a lot of structure, bridge pilings and stuff. Every now and then the fly's gonna hit a bridge piling and those lead eyes just simply don't hold up. It hits the bridge at the wrong angle and your eyes just snap off immediately. So these brass Dumbo eyes work very well, and I'm a big fan of them because it allows me to get the fly where it needs to be. And again, peacock bass love a jerky fly. It's kind of like a jig. Essentially, I'm casting it at them. Let's say this is the fish. Drop the fly beneath them as you see here, and then twitch it up to their line of sight, and then you get the bite. A lot of times if you cast it above their head or bring it towards them, you get a lot of follows and short strikes, but you don't see that explosive bite that you get. So I like a heavy, small fly that's just very erratic and jerks through the water. And again, I let it sink beneath the fish. And then when I give it a strip, I actually kind of pop my rod tip to get the fly to jerk up in their face. So when it comes up from beneath them, they eat it with force, and you eliminate that short strike that I'm sure you've experienced if you've peacock bass before. So normally I would go ahead and use some hard as Hull to seal this down. I don't currently have any right now, so I'm gonna just use some crazy glue, but you can use whatever your favorite, Zappa Gap or whatever it is that you like to glue down your threads. So there you have it. I got that all glued up. This thing is ready to fish. Also, this fly, because of the placement of the eyes, will ride hook shank up, so you don't really need any weed guards. The material itself kind of acts as a weed guard. So this fly right here is meant to be used without a weed guard. You can tie a weed guard on if you need it, but in most cases, you're not gonna need a weed guard on here. This is how the fly will move in the water. Those silly legs where they are gonna give it a lot of action. It's gonna be a very effective fly for clean water, shallow water, peacock bass, bonefish, spooky fish, because it's a small profile. And sometimes when those fish are acting very spooky, you need a small fly that's less intrusive and just drop it in front of them. You don't even have to strip it sometimes. The silly legs are gonna sit there and dance, and those fish are gonna come and smash it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I launched channel memberships. You can see where you could become a member of the channel. It's a small fee. I'll be posting a lot more fly tying stuff there. And even doing live sessions once a month, tying flies, just having conversations with you guys. Whether it's tarpon fly, redfish fly, snook fly, whatever it is I'm tying and throwing that week, I'm gonna be having a live conversation with you guys while I tie them up and answer any questions throughout the process. So make sure you check out the channel memberships. I just launched it. I think I have 2 members right now. Thank you guys for joining, but I'm gonna start posting a lot in there. And I also launched a Patreon that'll have even more stuff as well. So thank you guys for watching. This is a short one. This is a fast one, but this is a very effective fly. You guys have been asking me for this video for a few weeks now. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned.